Our story starts in the 1950s in a town called Wakefield in Yorkshire, England, with a very proud man called Arthur Taylor. Arthur had just opened his first ever little Yorkshire pie shop. He was determined to make the best pies in the country and to have his son Andrew follow in his footsteps. Fast forward to the year 2010, and with Arthur long gone, the little Yorkshire pie shop was now a thriving business built up by Arthur's son Andy over the past few years. Andy had made the Yorkshire Pie Company the biggest in the north of England, and he had his sights set on something very special. You see, for the last 3 years, Andy and his pie company had finished runners-up in the Best British Pie Awards. This year though, Andy felt like he had perfected his pie recipe and nothing was going to stop him claiming top spot once and for all. So off he headed to the awards in London with a selection of his finest pies. Meanwhile, someone else was also attending the Best British Pie Awards. It was Jessica Summers, a former glamour model who had recently retired. She was attending the awards because she was going to be announcing the winner of this year's championships and presenting them with their award. Well, 2010 turned out to be Andy's year as he finally claimed top spot in the Best British Pie Awards. As he approached the stage to collect his award, his eyes locked onto Jessica's and he felt like his entire world had stopped. She was so beautiful. The same was to be said for Jessica. She couldn't believe how handsome this big hunk of a chunk man was, with his big blue eyes glistening off his award-winning pork pies. It was love at first sight, and they were married within a month. The new couple were inseparable from that day onward. Now Andy was somewhat of a wealthy man. The Yorkshire Pie Company was the biggest in the north of England, so of course everyone assumed that their much younger Jessica was just after a sugar daddy. Now her modelling career was over, but there was so much more to her than anybody knew. Andy knew just how special she was, and they both knew that their love was true. What most people didn't know about Jessica is that she was actually a very clever businesswoman. She had used her money to build a fairly decent property portfolio. Most people just saw her as a dumb blonde with nice boobs, but she was so much more than that. Andy, seeing his wife's brain for business, appointed her to the company's board. Over the next 10 years, with Jessica's help and ideas, the Yorkshire Pie Company grew into not only the biggest pie manufacturer in England, but the world, sending their famous pies to all corners of the globe. This new success had made the Taylors multi-millionaires. They had moved out of a shared office in Wakefield and now had their own office and manufacturing plant in Yorkshire. They had a beautiful mansion in Bramhope and a luxury home in Los Angeles, USA. This newfound wealth had also let Andy complete his ultimate life goal, to own his beloved football club, the Wakefield Wolves. He had spent many a Saturday afternoon watching the Wolves with his dad, and he knew this would make his father very, very proud. Now, to the outside world, all of the Yorkshire Pie Company's success looked like it was down to Andy. Ever since he won the Best British Pie Awards, his company had gone on from strength to strength, outselling Holland Pies, their rivals, 10 times over. The truth of the matter was, it was all down to his wife Jessica. She, though, despite what people thought, was happy to take a back seat, avoid the limelight, and let her husband be the face of the company. Now, as good as a bloke as Andy was, he had a very dark secret. Andy loved to gamble, and he kept it from his wife. He would often be found in a casino, or betting on the horses, or even down at his local snail racing competition. If he could place a bet on it, he would. And this was definitely something he kept hidden from his wife from the very beginning. So in the summer of 2021, Andy and Jessica went to their home in Los Angeles for their annual leave, a place Andy loved as he could nip off to Las Vegas for a few hours on the tables. And after actually winning for once, Andy came home full of energy, hoping for some sweet, sweet loving from his wife. He popped a couple of good old blue pills to help him get up for the occasion, and he got to work. Unfortunately, halfway through, the 63-year-old Andy's heart couldn't handle all the fun it was being put through, and he died on top of his wife from a heart attack halfway through.
Reports just in are stating that Andy Taylor, the owner and chairman of Wakefield Wolves and also owner of the world famous Yorkshire Pie Company, has died of a heart attack whilst holidaying in America with his wife Jessica. Since Mr Taylor's passing, it's also come out that all was not as it seemed when it comes to his personal finances. Apparently, he's been a secret gambling addict for years now, and he's down to his last £1 million, this being only 5 years after Forbes estimated his wealth at £38 million. His widowed wife and former Page 3 model Jessica Taylor will surely have to sell everything she has now if she wants to keep up with that extravagant lifestyle she has been used to. What? Okay, I'm being told that Jessica Taylor has no intention of selling Wakefield Wolves and has in fact released a statement saying she is fully committed to the club. She wants to prove the world wrong, and she wants to make the struggling Premier League outfit a success. Well, we'll all wait with bated breath to see how this complete shit show turns out.
And that was true. She had no intention of selling the club. Now, as the pie-making world mourned the death of one of its greatest ever visionary bakers, no one was feeling the pain more than Andy's wife, Jessica. She really loved her husband. He was a soulmate. But as she laid him to rest, she had no idea about the trouble that was coming her way. The whole world saw her as a trophy wife of the super successful Andy Taylor. And with the shocking news to her and all of the Yorkshire Pie Company employees that Andy had secretly gambled away most of their personal fortune and company shares, this was going to be her chance to step out the shadows and repair the financial damage her husband had caused. Down to her last £1 million and facing financial ruin, and with the world's press hounding her and thinking she was going to crumble, she put her plan into action. Jessica sold the couple's yacht and their private jet, their homes in Bramhope and Los Angeles too. But her next move shocks everyone, especially Wakefield Wolves fans. As much as Andy had loved his football club, he had kind of neglected them a little over the years. Apart from their one season in the Premier League where they finished 20th, they had spent most of their existence in the English second tier. Jessica knew though what the club had meant to Andy and decided to keep it even though everyone expected her to sell it. She made a deal with Holland's Pies, who had now bought out all the shares in the now struggling Yorkshire Pie Company. The deal was that they could have all her remaining shares at a cut price deal if they would continue to sponsor the Wolves for the next 20 years under the name of the new Yorkshire Pie Company. Then with all the money she accumulated in selling off all the remaining couple's assets, she decided to put all her efforts into the Wakefield Wolves. Her husband had let her down, but she would always love him. And after herself, she knew he loved the Wolves too. She knew that she couldn't compete with the majority of the Premier League financially, so she decided to go down a different path. She commissioned and financed herself, spending most of her fortune on the construction of the world's greatest and most state-of-the-art training and youth facilities. The Wakefield Wolves Training and Academy complex would be the envy of the world. If the Wolves couldn't buy the best players in the world, she wanted the club to develop their own. To help her on her quest, she hired the legendary former Swiss international manager, Leo Benz. And then she poached the Wakefield native and acclaimed head of youth at Chelsea, James Campbell. With her new facilities and management team in place, Jessica not only wanted to make the Wolves a success, she wanted to show the world she was more than just a pretty face with absolutely, amazingly fantastic tits. So will her vision for the Wakefield Wolves become a reality? Can she turn the lowly Wolves into the best team in the country with little to no money and just state-of-the-art training facilities? Can the Wolves develop a future star player? Well, we will find out in the story of Wonder Woman. Good morning. It's very early here in the Bood household. I can see the sun coming up, but do you know what? It looks like it's going to be a great day. Hopefully it is for you. Hopefully it is for me. It's going to be a long day. But anyway, thank you for joining me. It is always appreciated. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, get involved in the comments, become a patron if you want to help support the channel that little bit more. If you're brand new, feel free to subscribe. Make sure you all hit that bell and you'll never miss anything I do. Most of all, thank you for your view, and thank you for checking out another story video. I've been hard at it this week, grafting me bum off, because I'm going on holiday in about a day and a half, and there will be a little bit of a break on the channel for about 10-12 days maybe. So I wanted to get as much out to you as possible, and I've been putting this one together for a while. I've had it in my head for a while, and I really enjoyed making it, and hopefully you're going to enjoy watching it and playing it. Yeah, you're going to have a chance to take over this club, the Wakey Wolves, as they would say in Wakefield, and work for Jessica Taylor. Yeah, so if you check the description, you'll find a save file down below, a little graphics pack for all of Wakey Wolves kits and logos, and take on this challenge yourself, trying to fulfill her dream of building a young team, getting your own players, creating your own players, and maybe winning the Premier League. But can the AI and Leo Benz do it for her? Well, we're going to find out in this video. We're going to jump forward 10 years and we're going to jump forward 20 years and have a good little look around, and you might fancy it yourself. I like putting stuff out like this. It's a good little story. It's also something different for you to play, so let's get into it. So here we are with Jessica Taylor, formerly Andy Taylor's beloved Wakefield Wolves FC. They are a Premier League team. They've just got back to the Premier League. There you can see their kits. Like I said, there'll be a graphics pack down below if you want to try this out yourself. I love them kits. I quite like them. Sponsored by the Yorkshire Pie Company, now owned by Holland's, but she's done a great deal, hopefully, for the club. Now, you'll see they were founded in 1932, so they were a bit newer than most English teams. Now, I picked Wakefield because it's one of the largest towns in England, especially in that area as well. without a proper professional football club. Everyone else has got one, apart from them. So I've always liked the idea of putting a team in Wakefield, and here they are. They've got a manager and they've got a squad. Now we're going to look through it all in a little bit of detail, but while we're here, I've picked some rivalries, mainly rivalries that are local, of course. We've got Sheffield teams, Barnsley, Huddersfield, Bradford, Leeds, and a few others. Now, picked a derby with Huddersfield because that's where my wife's from. I thought that'd be quite cool, and my wife spent a lot of time in Wakefield going on nights out there in her youth. And then I've got the Festive Challenge derby, which is actually named after a real derby in rugby league where Wakefield play Leeds. I think it's on Boxing Day, so I had to stick that in. If we move on to the general page, you'll see I've put a bit of history in, a bit of a league history for them. And they have mainly been a championship team for the last few years. They had one stint in the Premier League, like you saw in the story, and got relegated, and now they're back. You'll see they finished third last year and they won the playoffs. Now obviously I've had to change a few things to bring them into this Boodiverse universe. So I swapped them with Forest, so no offence Forest fans. Now onto their facilities. They play at Thorns Park. Now the reason I've called it Thorns Park, I've never been to Wakefield myself, is when I looked at a map, there's a big park called Thorns Park. Happy days. It's a 26,000 all-seater. Similar to Ted Lasso, they use Selhurst Park. We've kind of used Fratton Park, some of you may have noticed, as a bit of a base, basically, a bit of a frame. I wanted a stadium that's been in the Premier League in sort of recent times, but looks a bit old, a bit shabby, got a bit of character, so that's what we've used. So the club own it. It is average, very average, but as we know, she put all the money she had left into building this state-of-the-art, superb, awesome training ground. So it's state-of-the-art youth facilities, state-of-the-art training facilities. I'll get my words out eventually, it is early. Exceptional academy coaching, exceptional youth recruitment. And I've made it so that's what she wants. She wants to have the best facilities. And one thing I want to see is, will she maintain that? Because recently I did a series called Impossible Dream with Scunthorpe, built the club up. At one point I got on my facilities maxed, but then when they started to degrade, even though we had the money, the chairman didn't care, and he was like, nah, we're okay, and he wouldn't upgrade him, he wouldn't keep him at the top. So will she keep him at the top? Quick look at their history, and of course they're nearly-ish 100 years old, and they will be 100 years old when we jump forward 10 years, but they've never won anything. It's a fresh slate. Or the computers are trying to win stuff, and for you maybe, and I think this could be fun, you know, to have a go off. Now we can't look at Jessica's profile because she hasn't got one, and it does annoy me that they don't have one, but they haven't. But we're going to start here with James Campbell, Wakefield native, so he's originally from Wakefield, but he's built his career up and he's been at Chelsea, and she's poached him. Now he's fantastic, and that's why I wanted to give you a great head of youth and the computer a great manager to start out with, really. So James is 43, and as you can see, he's at the top of his game. And this is Leo Benz, a former Swiss international and international manager. Now he's great, but obviously if you take over, you'll be nicking his job. But this will give you an idea. Can you do better than Leo? When it comes to the squad, I've built on one, because basically when you select to add players for it in the editor or at the start of the game, it's never that great. It won't give you a decent team. I didn't want to have a world-class team. I just wanted them to have a team to start with. So I found a website online, and it's brilliant. It's got a search bar engine thing, which is similar to when you search for a player on the game, and you can put each individual position in. It'll show you players that are out there right now, in order of best to worst, that are free right now in real life. So that's what I've done. I've just selected a load of players that are free, changed a few things in their history, and put them at the Wakefield Wolves, just to give the club a kick up, give you something to start with yourself if you want to play it. But of course you want to be changing it as soon as you can, because this is a team that wants young players, that wants to sign under 23s, wants to develop its own, but you needed something to start with. You can see Jessica Taylor up at the top, and again I wanted a staff, so I found a director of football, you've got a technical director, you've got a team of coaches, physios, a few scouts. A lot of them were unemployed, some of them weren't. Again, she's just basically put all her money in to them facilities, got herself a good manager, some good staff, and signed an entire squad of free players. As you can see, all free, because they are free in real life. And that was the plan. Let's get the ball rolling, give them something to try and survive in the Premier League, to keep generating money, to keep building the club. Now the squad must be half decent, because there are some good players in it, some good ones. I mean, they've got David De Gea, decent keeper, in goal. But what I did do was give him the worst reputation. If you went in the editor and you look at the rep of every team, Wakefield are at the very bottom, but they're at the very bottom. But then when I added the players in, it's pumped them up to 12. Because I did test it, I looked at it, and the squad was shocking. And they were 2001 favourites to win the league, and it had put them right at the bottom. I mean, Bournemouth for 700 to 1. So giving them players, it's got them at around mid-table. Now I'm just going to take them over quickly to show you a few other things. There she is, the beautiful Jessica Taylor. If you're wondering who Jessica is, she's not real. She's AI. I've got that app that I use for things now, and I asked for a realistic, beautiful woman who you can put all the detail in, and that's what it created for me. She's not real. This is apparently the best team. Alexis Sanchez is third in it, but he was free. He's one of like the better free players. There's a player on here my friend Brian Kane might like if he wants to have a go. But there's some good lads. There's some decent talent. I mean, Jesse Lingard as well. Torre, oh god. So the club vision: sign players under the age of 23, work within the budget, maintain the best youth system in the country, maintain the best youth system in the world. So that is from her. So I'm hoping that whenever they do degrade, because technology improves, you know how this game works, she's just going to say, yep, go for it, let's upgrade it, let's keep it at the very top. And while I'm here, let's just look at those finances. So I didn't give him any money, so they got 4.4 in the bank and just want to spend. There's a little bit of room in them wages, so you might be able to bring in a player or two possibly. Nothing too fancy, maybe one on a free. But what I've done with her, as you've seen the story, she hasn't got a lot of resources. So when I do say like a billionaire challenge and I've got billionaire owners, you give them 20, which is the maxed attribute for resources, and you give them 20 for business. Jessica's got about 8 for resources, so she's not rich, but she's got 20 for business. So then we're going to jump forward 10 years, delve into it, see how the club gets on. Can they stay in the Premier League? Can they create any of their own players? Can they win anything? Well, here we are now. It's the 1st of July 2032, and Leo Benz, I don't know why I'm shocked, is still the manager. He's kept all of his job for a decade. Now, one thing I did do, and it don't always work, is I made Leo and the head of youth and Jessica friends. She's reached out to him, she's paying them decent money, but she's got a bit of faith in them, and she really appreciates them coming to help her and this club. So they're all friends. I don't know if that helps. I've done it before. I've had chairman just sack the manager anyway, even though they're best mates. But maybe Leo has done a good job because of Premier League. But have they always been in the Premier League for the last 10 years? Well, yeah, steadily. So that is when they got promoted, by winning the playoffs, finishing 3rd. So they've got an 11th, 10th, 13th, 10th, 11th, 9th, 8th, 9th, 9th, 7th. They've got themselves into Europe. Look at all them European places. So this is the Premier League apparently in 2032. I quite like it, because Man United are top of it. Ooh, I like that. I like it. They've won silverware. I didn't know if they would or not, but that's quite good, isn't it? An FA Cup, a Carabao Cup. They've got some European glory. Right then, I wanted to check the facilities history, because obviously that's a major part of it. I want to make sure keep up to date with it, and it looks like in 2030, so 2 years ago, they must have downgraded, but they've upgraded them. Youth and training facilities upgraded. Have a look: state-of-the-art training facilities, state-of-the-art youth facilities, exceptional academy, exceptional youth. Hopefully, looks like it is, doesn't it? Although Thorns Park is still bang average. Stadium condition is very good, so that's improved somehow. But I don't think they've improved it capacity-wise, have they? I mean, I kind of hope that they build a new one. Leo Benz, the manager, still the manager. Wow. 3 trophies in 10 years though, and steadily kept in the Premier League is enough for Jessica Taylor, it looks like. Now this is the current squad. I'm not going into it in detail because I think at the end I'm going to try and do a search for players who are homegrown Wakefield players and see how many good ones are out there. Quick look at values when it comes to the transfer history. Now, obviously when you're in the Premier League, money starts coming in, and it seems like it did, because he spent 41 million that first year, even though they only had 4. Fair enough. 14 the next year, but pretty much got that back. 23, 44, this is good business for the club. 111, but recoup 94. 71, 26, that's probably their biggest outlay. They've done quite good business, haven't they? 77, 97. Wow, I mean, look at this. I mean, are they selling younger players on? Let's have a quick look at that one, because that's a big transfer window, and it Blaine Kiss went to Rennes for a ton. So they've signed him from West Brom, had him for a bit, developed him, sold him on for a massive profit. That's insane. Who's Bailey Ty Jowsey? He's a Wakefield boy, I'm guessing, is it? Or did they sign him? No, they've brought him in. Fair enough. Sold him on for profit to Liverpool. I like it. I mean, I think I've only seen one season so far where they've spent more on players in than they got players out. I mean, look at this business. They're running the club the right way. Won a few trophies, keeping them in the Premier League. I mean, that's the second season where they've actually spent more than they've recouped, but it's never been that massive. Let's jump forward another 10 years to 2042 and let's see if it's still going well, because I'm very impressed with that. Welcome to the future. It's 2042. The club is now 110 years old and they're still playing at Thorns Park. Not increased that capacity. They don't care about the stadium. It's too historic. It means too much to the fans, I'm guessing. It's all about the facilities. Are they still at the top? One thing though, Leo Benz has gone and we've got Gattuso as the manager. One good thing is though, they've never left the Premier League and they've stayed pretty steady, kind of improved, took a dip. As you can see, they've got an 8th, a 6th, a 5th, that's their highest, 7th, then a 4th, which means they would have got in the Champions League, which is amazing. 8th, 7th, 8th, dropped out of 14th, and an 8th. Yeah, oh. Is this when Jessica's finally leaving? If you look at the owner status, well no, she's not here. And whoever is here, Matty Burns, is selling up. So Jessica Taylor left in 2039, so she's been gone for the last 3 years, but she's laid that foundation, she put a lot of time into it. She would have been getting on a bit then. I mean, she started off young, she was younger than her husband, but I imagine she's put in a lot of time. She's done the work, cashed the chips in, and retired off into the sunset. But look at that trophy cabinet. I mean, done a good job there, peeps. Wakefield Wolves, done really well. Look at that. So they've still got the one FA Cup, but they've got a Super Cup, 2 Europa Leagues, 3 Conference Leagues. So good European trophies. Never won the big one, but you'd take that one. You still got that 1 Carabao Cup and a Community Shield. And I'm happy about that. Really happy, because Leo Benz didn't get the sack. He looked like he stayed, a long time. I mean, he must have left just after that last save point. He did his 10 years and resigned. He's a director of football now. He's not got a job. He'd done his job, which is great. Almeida came in, won the Europa League, twice a Super Cup and a Conference League, and then he left to join Chelsea. Why? James Campbell, you might remember James, is the head of youth, which is brilliant. He had a little job as a caretaker manager, which is totally random. Normally it's your assistant sometimes or coach, but the head of youth had a crack at it. I think he's still there. Yes, he is. 63 years old, been developing talent forever. Look how good he's become, eh? I'll keep hold of him if you have a go. Now what I do is I save it every year. I have the computer just auto save it every year and I simulate, so I can jump back in if I need to at a specific point. And I've had a look and the facilities were good. They were kept up to scratch. And then Jessica leaves and that's her focus. So you get a new owner and the whole, philosophy of the club will change. And 3 years later, it has, hasn't it? Excellent training facilities and on superb youth facilities, so they've took a hit. Now this is their best ever 11 of all time of the last 20 years. Now, Jesse Lingard is in that team. I mean, discarded by United, went to Forest, was a bit shit. But for Wakey Wolves, he's done really well, hasn't he? Check him out. I mean, some of them are obviously going to be regens, but I mean, I am pleasantly surprised with the amount of trophies we've won, that they kept a good manager for as long as he did, that Jessica stayed for as long as she did. So I'm taking over, and this is Matty Burns, the current chairman, who looks like he's trying to sell it anyway. The club's rich, got 66 million in the budget, 3 million in the wage budget, 3.5. You can see all here, a lot more history than last time. I'll say board alert, takeover in process, but the board culture's still the same. Sign players under the age of 23. work within the wage budget, so they've got rid of the keeping the facilities the best. Now I've done a search for players who trained at a young age with Wakefield, so these are players that have come through as regens through the academy or been bought at a very early age as a very young player and then come through the academy and then either stayed or been sold on. Most of them like they got sold on. I've arranged it by value, and there's a few good ones knocking about, and there's a few that went on for big profit, and it'd take forever to look through it all in detail, but I do think it works, and I think if you played it you could really go down that path of signing young players and building a team. And could you run the club as well as they did as a team in them first 10 years? I think it was fantastic how they did it, but I think it could be really enjoyable. It's something different for you. You know, I know they're not a real team, but they have got this bit of history, they've got the story behind it as well, and you might really enjoy it. And if you do have a go of it, let me know what you think and let me know if you do enjoy it. One thing I did want to check is how well did the youth team do? Were they any good? So we've gone onto the honours list, and obviously we know about the first team, but we could come down here to the FA Youth Challenge Cup. They won it once and were runners up 4 times. That's pretty good, I think. Premier League Under 18s Cup, they've won that 5 times. Under 21 Premier League Cup, they won it twice. Under Premier League 2 Division 2, won it once. Premier League 2 Division 1, runner up once, 3rd place 5 times. So they're competing. You got to think they're competing with a lot of big teams in England who will have great youth teams. And the Premier League Under 18s won it 3 times, runner up twice. So there we go, that's the end of Wonder Woman, and it's the end for me for a little bit. I am going on holiday to France with my family. There's 8 of us going. I can't wait. I'm so excited. So there's going to be a bit of a break on the channel. A week and a half, a bit longer. So I do appreciate the support. Hopefully you'll come back when I come back. But thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you try it out. Like I said, just check the description for everything. You'll find lots of things down there. I've got a lot more stories coming your way when I do get back, and a few other little bits and bats. But if you do try this out for yourself, please let me know how it goes. I hope you do, because I think you'll enjoy it. Wakefield Wolves are a cracking club. They're going to be run the right way for a long time as long as Jessica's there, and you could really do something special. And can you beat the AI? It's quite successful, it won quite a few trophies, but can you, with this philosophy, win a Premier League, win a Champions League, win a FIFA Club World Cup? I believe in you. I think you can, and if you do, let me know. So honestly, thanks. I love going on holiday, but you know what? I'm going to miss YouTube. I miss doing this. I hope you'll miss me. So stay happy, stay safe, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell, and you'll know when I've come back, won't you? You won't miss my next video. No? So I hope you have a great time while I'm away. I feel like I'm leaving forever. I'm not. So you stay happy, you stay safe, and I'll see you next time.